Hello and welcome to Colin Bradley Artcast. I'm Stephen Bradley,
And I'm Colin Bradley.
and we're both wrapped up warm this week.
Well, you need it where you are. I'm not so bad. I've got a centrally heated room here, although I'm close to a window, so I've got one side I've got nice and warm. This side is nice and warm. That side's it's all right. No, it's not too bad.
Whereas
I'm
this
not
side,
complaining.
this side is cold.
I know.
Oh dear! I
I
knew that the
feel
winters were going to be tough in here. I did know that when we built it, because I mean we're moving soon, so we're probably not. There's no point in insulating it fully, but
of
I
course
did
not.
know I did know that the winters were going to be cold in here. But even with the heater on, it's still cold.
Well, you make sure when you sell the house it's in the summer, then you can say, look at this lovely warm outhouse here.
It's very nice and breezy. Got a nice breeze coming in. You open the doors. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's a great space. It is a really great space. Got electrics and everything, so it is very good. But in the winter, whew, it's chilly. It's chilly. How are you doing, Dad?
I'm very well, Steve. Yes, very well. I'm working hard. I've got a couple of pictures which we haven't showed anybody yet, but they're there. And I've got another couple that one we're going to talk about today.
Lovely, excellent. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it leads us on to today's topic, and we had a comment come in from Ange, and she said, "What do you look for in a picture in order to make it into a shadow picture and to get the best results?" So that actually, I said this to you, Dad. I said, this is what we'll talk about this week. And you said, this ties in nicely with a picture that I've got planned that's going to be a shadow picture. So let's throw that up on the screen now. I've got it up in front of me as well, so everyone can see that. And if you're listening on the episode on your podcast app, then you can always jump over to our website and see the picture that we're talking about. So let's use this one as an example, Dad. What did you look for in this picture to turn it into a shadow picture?
What I'm going to do, I'm going to put it on my, I've got it on my phone now, so I'm looking at it as well. And, well, I saw it, first of all, it struck me straight away. I thought, shadow picture. That's the first thing. I thought it's ideal. And really, to make it a shadow picture properly, you've got to have just one side of something, you know. Most of the pictures I've done, because you've got to have the shadow there. You've also got to have a very dark background as well, so that you can encompass the brighter, interesting features and make them stand away. That's the first thing. And secondly, you can see the picture we've got is a coloured picture. That's no good. So what I would do on my computer, if you haven't got a computer, you might have a bit of a problem with this. But my computer, I turn it into black and white. So that won't be a coloured picture. It will be a black and white picture. That gives you the contrast. So you've got the contrast. And the other thing about this one that I particularly like is the beard. Now, I have done a couple of beards in the past, and they're very successful. Funny enough, they're very successful in shadow pictures. You know, because I suppose you've just got the contrast of the black and white and different tones in between. Whereas if you're working on a colour picture, you've got the colours to consider as well. Black and white, you don't have to worry about that. So what makes this interesting now, looking at it again, you've got a moustache as well and a crinkled face. Now, the difficulty really in something like this is you've got to, if you were just doing this in colour, it would be obvious because of the colour of the skin. But if you haven't got that, you've got to produce that in black and white. Now, that's not really that hard because obviously you've got tonal values, and you make sure the tonal value would be appropriate for it. And then you've got the other thing you've got to do is the features. You've got to make sure the features represent what you're doing. And he's got I don't know what they call that hat, but whatever it is, he's got that on. So that would help as well. So you're looking at things that are obvious. You know, you've got to be very obvious. You can't mess about with it. You can't think, oh well, I can use a bit of artistic license here. You can't do that. And now there's one other thing. I don't know whether you can pick it up on the screen. I've got it on my computer, my phone here. You can just about make out the light in the other eye. Can you just see that? It's just like a pinprick.
Yeah, yeah, just about.
It's not very obvious, is it? Well, you have to do that. Now, what I do with this, Steve, when I produce this as an example for myself, so that I've got a picture to copy, I will increase the contrast, or decrease the contrast, should I say, so it becomes much lighter. And that will give me a very faint outline of the eye and the part of the face. Now, that won't appear on my picture, but it will appear on the photographic reference.
Does it just allow you to see what's there?
That's it, exactly. So you're not taking too much of a risk. If I couldn't see that, I'd ignore it. I'd just do what I see. You heard me many, many times when I talk about this. Do what you see. If you can't make anything out, don't make it up. Do what you see. So I would do what I saw there. And there's also, I just see on here, he's got, again, you can't see it very well, but he's got a collar. He's got a shirt collar. That would feature. And a little bit of his neck. Things like that would feature as well. And but I wouldn't make it up. It would have to be there in contrast for me to work it. Have I covered it pretty well there?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, when you sent it to me, it looks like a sort of picture perfect shadow picture in the making, in terms of the light, as you said, it's more over one side. Is it safe to say that you're looking for interesting details like the beard, like the hat? You're looking for something that stands out in a subject, in a portrait. What's interesting is this is pretty much, it is face on. And in the past, you've chosen subjects a slight different angle, but this is head on. How does that change the difficulty level with the angles?
No, it wouldn't, because I've lost my picture now. I hadn't touched it for a while, so I've got to put it back on. I've got it on. It goes off after a while, as people know if you've got a phone. No, if I'm just going to increase the size for me so I can see more detail there. I'm just looking at it, and I can now. I've increased the detail. I can see the other eye. But now I couldn't see it before, but now I can because I've increased it. So that's another thing you can do, and that's another thing I would do if I found that didn't come out quite as well as I'd like on my lightened version. I would blow that up, just one section of it up to see. Because you've got to get as much information as you can, even though you're taking basically the picture as a whole. You've still got to find the what you're supposed to be looking at. Did I answer the question? I'm not sure what the question was originally now.
The original question was, what do you look for in a picture to make it into a shadow picture?
Or
so it's what you've said.
How do I know yes, how do I know it's going to be a good shadow picture? Well, I think you've got to have something that strikes you on impact, like it did with you. You hadn't seen this picture before. And as soon as I sent it through to you, which was just before we recorded here, straight away your eyes lit up. I think, wow, yeah, that's a good one. That's the reaction. That's the reaction you've got to have, because if you don't have that, you've got to invent it, and you can't invent them. What I do when I'm going through my Pixabay, usually is one of the sources that I use, I've got to be struck. It's got to come out and hit me in the face when I'm looking for something. Because as you know, if you've ever run through Pixabay, there are hundreds of pictures that sometimes I go through. So you've got to have something that comes and jumps at you and think, wow, that's it. And this one did. I wasn't looking for shadow pictures, though. I was just looking for general pictures. But this one just came out and hit me, and straight away I said, wow, shadow picture. So that really is the my motivation, anyway, for doing it.
It looks like it's going to be a bit of a challenge because of the dark shirt against the dark background. So you have to differentiate the shirt with the background?
Well, this is where skill comes in, Steve. You've got to be. I've done a lot of them. I know what I'm doing. I know how to. I've got only 4 colours to work with. Remember, it'll be the usual 4 colours and dark grey pastel matte paper. I wouldn't see that as any kind of problem. Somebody else might when they were doing something like this. One of the great things, though, is they'll be copying my picture, so my picture will have the line drawing with it, and you'll only be able to work within the line drawings that I give you. So that's fairly straightforward.
Because especially on the left-hand side, as we're looking at the picture, you can't see the outline of the shirt, or I can't see it on my phone unless it's... You can barely see the outline of the shoulder of the shirt on the left-hand side. So are you going to just...
No,
don't have to worry about that.
No, that goes... Because for one thing, the picture itself will probably be about the size that you can see there. I'll probably cut some of the top off, just a little bit of the top off. But you've got to balance your picture. You've got to have the subject's focal point in the centre of the picture. In this case, it would have to be, and then you balance the sides and the bottom of the picture accordingly. Very often, as with the last picture I've just finished, I thought I was right with my subject and my composition. I thought I was right. But when I finished the picture, I realised I wasn't. So I had to chop a lump off the top.
Oh.
So the picture I showed you and sent you earlier, that had another centimetre or thereabouts, or just over, on top of that, which I've chopped off. So you can't always be sure.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah. Lovely. Okay. Well, Ange, I hope that answers your question. I hope that's been interesting for everyone else. I'm pleased that came in at the right time, because we were able to discuss an upcoming picture that is going to be a shadow picture. So thank you, Dad, for that insight. Very, very helpful indeed. As always, if you have any questions or anything you want us to discuss on the podcast, then please just send it over to us, either Facebook or Instagram or email. Just get in touch with us through many different ways, and we'll happily discuss it. And maybe next week we'll talk about one of the new pictures that you've done.
Yes, and this one will be a little way away, though. I've got a few to do. But I might slide it in, as we've now used it on this show. I might maybe bring it forward.
Lovely.
Don't wait too long.
I just remembered as well, and I've got to shoot out in a minute, so we have to truncate this. But you saw the pantomime last Saturday, so give everyone your review of what you thought of the pantomime.
Absolutely fantastic. I was blessed, really, with you being able to give me you and Mims, give Mum and I a backstage tour, and that was absolutely fantastic. I really, really made my day. And then we went out the front and saw the actual panto, which was absolutely fantastic. And you've got every reason to be very proud of that. And all of the lovely comments you've had are well justified. Absolutely fantastic. Can't wait till the next one now, which I understand they've asked you to do another, so I'm going to wait for next year.
Yeah, indeed. I'm pleased. I'm pleased that you enjoyed it, and it was really lovely to have you guys come up and to show you a glimpse into that side of things, the backstage, all the props and the set and everything like that, and to see what the cast see from being on stage. And they're doing great. It opens again it's every weekend in January, so they've about halfway through now. Just last weekend was halfway, so they've got another show tonight and then over the weekend. But they're doing brilliantly, and they deserve the sellout performances that they've been having. They deserve every single accolade and kind comment that is coming through. And I couldn't be prouder, really. We've helped to create a show that's brought joy to so many. It's an absolute honour to be able to do that, and it's a nice feeling other than being on stage and being in the cast, it's nice to take a step back and having been part of the creative process. It's a different experience, but it's really equally as enjoyable and rewarding.
It must be. And Mims too was in that particular one, the only one she was in, because of someone who couldn't make that particular. So she stepped in as Granny, and she made it absolutely fantastic. She made it as well because she's a very, very good actress. So
yeah, she did brilliantly. Yeah, she's great. She's great. One day performance, quick starring role to cover, and then that's it. She loved it. She really enjoyed it. It was really nice for her. Yeah. Lovely. Okay, I've got to shoot off now, but thanks, Dad, for this, and thanks everyone for listening and watching. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
Enjoy your week.